evidence of human activity going back to thousands of years. Standing stones, 18th century dance of iniquity, with more
Tim, just tell us about the farm, how long it's been in your ownership and so forth.
Right. We, as a family, my mother and father and all the rest of it moved from Donegal in '66, and we had a farm there. I went back, studied agriculture, and I bought this farm in 1988. I worked abroad, and I didn't really start farming it full time until 92, 93.
Right.
I then went abroad again, and I started farming again in 99.
99. Tell us a bit about you. Did you study in UCD or did you?
I did agriculture in UCD. General agriculture.
General agriculture.
Yeah.
And then you went on, as you said, to work abroad. What sort of agency was that? How did that come about?
I graduated in '81 at a time of pretty similar depressions to around now, and jobs were not available in agriculture. But Saudi Arabia had started up producing crops and milk, and there was a demand for agriculturists, lucky enough at that time. So my first job was in Saudi Arabia.
What sort of job was it? Was that as consultancy or was it? It
was with an Irish Saudi agriculture company called Saudi International Agriculture Company, SIAC, and it was we produced wheat only. Wheat, and during the summer months we produced forage grass and forage legumes.
So this presumably, I mean, we'd imagine that Saudi would be essentially desert. So how were they able to do this?
At the time, Saudi wanted to be self-sufficient in wheat. Saudi, as well as having big reserves of oil, they have massive reserves of water underground, and they tapped into this reserve, especially in the Riyadh and south of Riyadh area, and a lot of that water was used for irrigated agriculture.
So they've really transformed the topology of the whole place, really, in a sense.
They have. I calculated that we were using as much water in our farm in one day what would be used by Dublin City at the time in 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
So we were using massive quantities of water.
Yeah.
Water probably that the Saudis are sorry they have used now.
Because it's a limited resource.
It's a limited supply, and a lot of the wells that we would have started would now be salty.
Wow.
And not suitable for agriculture.
Yeah. So they would have lost, of course, the land then, I presume, it would have blown away.
The land would have been poisoned with the salty water.
Yeah.
So it's not a great story, but in 1981 environmental issues were not on anybody's agenda.
No, not at all.
neither me nor I don't remember reading about it as a serious issue.
Yeah.
Looking back, I realise that it was a very, very serious issue.
Sure.
More so for the people of Saudi than anybody else.
Of course, yeah, because they're the ones who would suffer. I suppose things like crop rotation and all of those things which are like centuries old, when it's new, it probably didn't occur to them, did it really?
No, at the time there was a lot of research coming from Germany in particular on the factors influence yield in cereal crops. And a lot of that research was being used in Saudi, and at the time to get 10 tonnes per hectare was regarded as the ultimate yield in Europe. We were getting 10 tonnes per hectare in Saudi on almost pure sand.
Wow, incredible.
Using the necessary inputs.
Yeah. And then your next work abroad was in Africa, wasn't it? Was that in Tanzania?
But again, I returned from Saudi in '85, but jobs were still not available in agriculture in Ireland. And the only jobs that I seemed to be qualified for were abroad again. And the Irish government had begun in the previous years to start up a development program in Africa,
Mhm.
and my Saudi experience, luckily enough, suited their requirements, and I got a job in Zambia on state dairy farms.
Yeah. Had Zambia any tradition of dairying as such?
Yeah, Zambia would have had a fairly long tradition of dairy, and pre-independence and post-independence. Pre-independence, I suppose, was mainly white farmers. Post-independence with state-run farms that they had taken over from white farmers.
Mm.
And they were very successful at it, but their capital requirements of the farm were not met by the semi-state company.
Yeah, yeah. That's unfortunately seems to be some of the not so much trademarks, but it's an issue, isn't it, in development at anywhere, where when you're not in control of resources and funding and stuff, things can go where they're not supposed to go, and
yeah,
that kind of thing.
I suppose when things get tough in any country, that's when people have to survive, and a lot of the time, I suppose state-run companies get depleted fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Because funding is not a priority.
No.
I suppose health and education in any country is number one priority.
Sure.
State-run farms probably was regarded as important, but certainly wouldn't be top of the list.
No. And of course it changed with the whole political change as well, that you know, the state as the kind of prime actor in agriculture would be something that probably would be not as important now as it was then.
Yeah, at the time I suppose the farms in Zambia have since been privatised, but a lot of them have been sold to investment companies who just stripped the assets and sold the cattle. The farm I was on, which was very, very successful, is no longer existing as a dairy farm. The cattle were all sold to organisations like Heifer International, and the machinery was sold.
Gosh.
And the land is now almost derelict.
Jeez. Incredible.
Yeah.
So that was there, and then you moved again. Was it to Lesotho, or was that sometime after?
I from Zambia I came back to Ireland, and I got a job in Cork selling milking machines. But my wife Bridget, we were married at that stage, and Bridget was in Dublin working. She had a career break in the civil service. So a job came up in Tanzania with Irish Aid, and we went to Tanzania. Bridget took another career break, and we left for Tanzania, the island of Pemba, which is part of Zanzibar. And people will remember Zanzibar, but Zanzibar is made up of two islands, Pemba and Unguja. The smaller island is Pemba.
That must have been a very exotic and different place to be in that time.
Yeah, Zambia had a very pleasant climate. It was we were 2,000 meters above sea level. It was never very warm, very seldom humid, except maybe during the rainy season for a few months. But Pemba was humid for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I remember at the interview asking one person who had been to Africa for a long time, and he said there was 3 months in Pemba when the weather was uncomfortable, and some other civil servant from Foreign Affairs who just occasionally went to Africa, he reckoned there was 3 months of the year when the weather was pleasant. So,
it's all in the beholder.
It's all, yeah. We found it very difficult for the first 6 weeks, but after 6 weeks you seem to get acclimatized
You do.
to humidity.
Yeah. So back in Ireland, and you'd already purchased this farm. What was its use before that?
Before it was part of Muldoon's farm, and Muldoon, if this is correct, Muldoon was a blacksmith who operated in a laneway close to the farm. Old Court Lane, I suppose it's known as now. And he must have been a very successful blacksmith in his day, because he managed to buy all the land from here to Old Vaughan. So I suppose at that time a blacksmith was was like an IT specialist. He made the tools for the other tradesmen.
That's right.
So he must have been an exceptionally good tradesman. And he left the land to his descendants, and eventually 3 nephews got 50 acres of what was left, 50 acres each. And each of the nephews sold in turn. And I bought off one of the nephews. I bought 50 acres, or 46 to be precise.
And that's what you have today.
And that's what we have today, yeah.
You've varied your farming a great deal over the years, haven't you? By necessity or by niche or what?
We started off with cattle and sheep. We realised that the profitability was very, very poor.
Yeah.
And we decided we would diversify. One of the areas I worked in, when I came back to Ireland, I worked part-time farming. I was initially working in Longford in an agricultural college. And one of the enterprises that I realised was successful was free-range eggs. And when I realised there was a demand for free-range eggs, we decided to start in a serious way with the free-range eggs, and we marketed most of the houses near the farm.
Yeah.
And the first, we had 25 dozen to sell per week, and the first day we marketed, we got customers for all 25 dozen. So we eventually went from there, and we increased year by year. And today we have 600 customers.
Fine. Yeah.
We also started sport horse, which is something I have a big interest in. But by the time I had young stock for sale, the market had collapsed in that area. The Celtic Tiger had come to an end.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're gradually getting out of. And we got into dairy goats.
Yes.
And we hope that there's a market for either goat's milk or goat's cheese in the years ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So you constantly to stay viable, you constantly have to kind of put your finger to the wind and see what's going to go, what's the future.
Yeah, I always believed that you could make money from a small farm. I'm still trying to prove that to myself. I'm probably when I have it proven, I'll do something else.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I want to prove that.
Yeah.
And we have proven that the hens can make money, but we probably need something more than the hen. Bridget is still working in civil service, and you need a good job to keep a farm going.
Yes.
Yeah.
That seems to be the case, that a lot of the hill farms here would be part-time farmers.
Yeah, in Bohernabrina, on the other side of the hill here, almost all the farmers would be part-time. That you could count on one hand the number of full-time farmers.
Yeah. Why is that essentially? Is it simply that the structures of agriculture in Ireland and the EU just don't see the value of small holdings?
Probably from the funding point of view, in any country, any organisation, any farmers organisation, generally the more powerful, the bigger farmers, and the more powerful people in any society generally dictate where the funding goes, and that has been the case in farming to a very, very large extent.
Yeah.
Most of the funding has gone to larger enterprises. There seems to be a producer, an industry, and the consumer, and that link. Very, very few small farmers make up the industry. The industry is generally run by the bigger operators, and the department seem to also side with the bigger operators. And politically, the politicians side with the bigger operators. And again, it's probably due to that's where the power is.
That's where the power is, yeah. But I'm sure countries within the EU, even I'm just thinking of Denmark in particularly, they have a tradition of small holding, simply because the country is quite small.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of bacon, dairy products and whatever else, and they would be quite small. So there seems to be a precedent for, a viable small industry alongside, the bigger ones. Would that be?
Yeah, there's a niche market. There's a niche market within Europe for high quality products.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Ireland exports 80% of what we produce. Generally, if we cannot get into that niche market, which we have been successful in some areas, but if we cannot get in, we're dependent on world prices. And whereas most countries within Europe, like Germany and possibly Denmark, like Denmark would probably, I'm not 100% sure of Germany's export patterns, but I'd say a lot of it would go to neighbouring countries, rather than onto the world market.
It would make a certain degree of sense there, because with roads and infrastructure being so close,
they wouldn't be as dependent on exports outside the EU. But I'm not 100% sure about that now. I haven't ever been to Denmark or lived in Denmark. But I know in Germany, I worked in Germany for 6 months about 20 years ago, and certainly they seem to operate on a part-time basis, part-time farming.
Yeah.
In southern Germany, in Bavaria in particular, part-time farming seems to be the norm.
Yeah.
And they seem to get fairly good support considering the facilities they have.
Yeah. That seems to be where we kind of need to go in a sense with they talk about the family farm and the historical and social aspects of that, but whether they mean anything in the sense of, well, okay, if you want this, are you going to help us be there, stay there, and whatever?
Yeah, I would love to see a lot more funding going to smaller producers, and some balance coming into the system where instead of 80% of the funding going to 20%, that it becomes a lot more balanced. And I think that the smaller farmers could respond to that with a higher quality product.
Yeah.
And maybe a quality product that would reach a much higher price on the export market.
Yeah, exactly.
And niche markets.
Yeah. Do you find the growth in the last, say, about 10 years or more of farm markets and local markets and whatever, has that been a good outlet for produce as such?
Around Dublin, I have been very disappointed with so-called farmers markets. Number one, very few farmers are selling produce at them. Several times I was at farmers markets and I might have been the only farmer there. Most of them were selling hot food or cooked food.
Yeah.
Or traders who were buying produce and selling it.
And selling it on.
And making a markup.
Yeah.
But I've never found farmers markets. When we have to get rid of quantities of eggs, we generally go to normal markets, not so much farmers markets.
Yeah.
But I think Lidl and Aldi have done a lot of damage to markets in general.
Why would you think that?
I think Tesco and Dunn's, when they were operating on their own, they charged a certain price, and people who operated markets could undercut them. I think Aldi and Lidl have come into that area and they've undercut Dunn's and Tesco's, and the people going to markets aren't able to undercut Lidl and Aldi.
No.
And that's probably the economies of scale.
Yeah.
And their efficiency, whatever efficiencies Lidl and Aldi have, they seem to be able to do that.
Be able to do it. Yeah. What about now? As I say, you can comfortably live with, the suburban being a couple of hundred yards from you, and yet here we're in the heart of the country in a sense, all around us. How is that? It's a very delicate relationship, isn't it, between kind of urbanisation and rural. You know, how they get on, or if they're even aware of one another.
But yeah, because we sell free-range eggs to customers in the surrounding housing estates, we would know we'd know a lot of people. That's probably unusual for a farmer on the edge.
Yeah.
And because we know them well, that there's probably a certain relationship and a certain trust. We certainly have had no problems with, apart from sky tipping, we have generally had no problems on the farm from being so close to an urban area. No problems whatsoever.
So it can be done.
It can be done, yeah. This year we had a few bales born, but it was children, and it was mischief making, and there was certainly no malice involved.
Yeah.
And we've never we've always had a policy of treating anybody who passes through the farm with respect, and in turn we have always seemed to have received respect from all people over the years. So we've never had a problem, which is a great thing to say.
So their life cycle would be a year, and then
A year commercially, yeah, but they would lay for 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
But commercially, a year. After the second year, the quality of the shell, the shape of the egg, mightn't be to everybody's satisfaction.
Oh, wow. So then they go to the factory as such.
We used to send them all to the factory, but not anymore. Now we sell them to small holders who come and buy 10 or 20 off us.
Oh, right.
And we have the same customers that come back every year and take them.
Oh, that's fabulous.
They're the ones that I tie by hand. I'll show you the way I tie it now in a second.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people know how to do it still, but
Not that many would be my guess.
there's different people in different parts of the country have different ways of tying it, I think, but this is the way we always tied it. And this oats here is black oats. If you look at the grain, you'll see that it's black.
Is that got to do with a variety that would stand the soil type and the exposure?
It probably is. It's very old breed, very old variety, seemingly. There's not very many people growing it now. I think the only people that grow it now, they use it as firing, heat.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's good oats. They say there's more protein or something in it for horses and that.
Yeah. And does it keep well? Do you have to do anything to process it or anything like that?
No, just dry it.
Just dry it out.
But I'll show you. One problem with it that I find is it doesn't grow as tall as the white oats. The white oats over there, the ordinary oats.
Yeah.
This doesn't grow as tall, so the weeds get a better chance of growing in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't spray anything. Nothing was sprayed, and it got no fertiliser.
Wow.
So the only fertiliser that will be in that ground will be what's there going back into it from this year to next year.
Right.
And there'll be a few sheep on it then when they're lambing in the winter. So
Okay.
they'll be putting a bit of manure on it, and they'll be grazing a bit off it. So that's the only fertiliser it gets.
And that's sufficient.
Well, so far, the man that
far.
cut it said it's as good a crop of oats as he has ever seen.
How about that?
So he would be cutting oats with a combine sometimes and with the binder as well.
Yeah.
And that's what he just said the other evening.
Would this we're down in the valley here. Is this Ballyscorney?
No, this is Castle Kelly.
This is Castle Kelly, this townland here. So would the soil be very acidy, or would it be very heavy, or
It
Or
would
is-
be acidy, I suppose. Is that what's on the bog?
yeah,
Acid, like, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because the bog is only beside us here,
Mhm.
you know. But when you're, like, as you can see around you, you're in the kind of a basin of the valley, so
Yeah.
probably have the best of the soil here.
Everything comes down this way. Yeah.
Well, it did when it was coming first.
A little before our time.
Yeah.
So that's the sheaf. That's how
This
how
is,
it's done.
That's what you call a band.
Yeah.
Making a band. So you put the band around it like this.
All right.
And because that oak is a bit short, you need to be making the sheaves a bit smaller,
Uh-huh.
because it's not really long enough to go around the big one. I can make it better with the long stuff, but that's really how the sheaf is made anyway.
There she goes. That is fabulous.
I have a few potatoes growing here.
In the drills there. Yeah.
I grow, well, I did try to grow nearly everything we eat, but not everything grew as well this year. The carrots and stuff didn't do so well.
Mostly probably due to rain, was it?
No, it was more due to me,
Oh.
between me and the rabbits. I don't know how fresh you like your peas.
Oh, they're fabulous.
I don't think you get them much fresher than that.
I don't think I will. Look at that.
They're a bit small.
They're fabulous.
Take away there. Some of them are a bit small. I was a bit late sowing them, but
No, you can only just about see them, folks, but I can guarantee you they are gorgeous. They are so sweet, you would not believe. Fabulous. Mmm. They're amazingly sweet, aren't they?
it's they're probably a good variety as well. But
Mmm. They are lovely. Mmm. So, Donny, what? I know that you're involved here with. You also do your sheepdogs and the trials. Is that right? Do you still do
that's
that?
right, yeah. That's Jess that does the sheep. One of the ones I do the sheepdog trialing with is Jess here.
Yeah.
Jess, come on.
Look at him.
She's a bit tired. She's been working hard for the last couple of days.
He's a hard-working dog.
All right, Jess. Come here, Jess. Roll over there.
Would he be a border collie, or would he?
Border collie, yeah.
Yeah.
High five, Jess. Go on, Jess. I'll go on. Go on. I'll go on. High five. I'll go on, Jess. What's wrong with you?
He's had
You're
it for a
tired.
day, is he?
Poor old
He's
Jess.
fabulous. Oh yeah, how about that? It'll annoy the hens, but it'll
no,
look great.
Good Jess, good Jess. Left. Left. No. Look back. Left. That's a young cock and he doesn't stay near the other left. Look back.
Oh yeah,
Jess knows that too.
he knows him well, does he? Oh yeah. Look at that.
Left, 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 left. Jess. Where are you? Left, left, left. No, left, left, left. Come here. Left, left. Jess. Take your time. Take your time, Jess. Take your time. Left. 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 Come here, left. Left, left. Get him. Get him. Left, left, left. Jess, 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 Jess. Come here, come here, come here. Jess, Jess. Jess, 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 Jess.
Look at that.
That's what I wanted to do.
That's fabulous.
And he's on Facebook and I was talking to him and he was telling me about some song and he couldn't remember the words of it and I said, did you Google it? And he said, I never thought. And so I Googled it for him and I told him what it was. Well, he's on Facebook and he's 87 and he said he never learned much going to school. He finished school when he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't in school, he didn't really start school till he was 9 properly. He went to school over in Taney and he was only there for a short time because he was from down in Carlow.
Yeah.
He had an accident when he was only a small child and he got burned.
Oh.
And he wasn't sent to school, I think he was 7 because he had 4 miles to walk to school.
Oh,
And
jeez.
then he had the accident and he's lost time for that. And he came up to Dublin, then he went to school in Taney and he said the master asked him when he went there, it was his first time in the school, he said, what class were you in your last school? And he was 9. And he said he was in junior infants and the master said we can't put you into that, you know. So he said he was only there for a couple of years and he learned very little, but any learning he done, he read and he learned it himself. And he can read books and he was beekeeper of the year a couple of years ago.
Oh.
You know Duncan there?
No, don't, no.
You know Duncan Stewart does Eco on television.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I got, yeah, know him now.
He's lived up there, up the road just.
Oh.
He has this idea that this valley should be able to sustain itself nearly with energy and all.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying, look, I haven't done it this year, but and I haven't done it last year because Lidl was one of the reasons I don't do it. We used to grow potatoes and a few potatoes and vegetables and sell them locally.
Yep.
Not very many, but you have a few people that buy a few.
Sure.
And they seem happy enough with it. But sure, when you wouldn't have everything they want,
Yeah.
like it's funny, a few, like there would have been women, there would have been older women and they'd be glad to get something that was local.
Yeah, sure.
A few of them have died out, you know.
Yeah.
And that's when Duncan Stewart was talking about sustainable economy and I said about doing this and he said, sure, you're doing it already, you know.
Yep. You are.
Like whatever few bob you get, you kind of have it. You'll be making it local.
Yep.
Probably hard to walk when I'm moving around, isn't it?
No, it's grand. It's grand. But so all of these oats, that'll pay for forage for all the animals and the hens.
That is the forage for them. That is the feed for them.
Yeah.
The hens, Tim, I was saying it to Tim if he could do it, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But because he depends so much on the eggs,
Yeah.
he couldn't take a chance. But them hens never got anything that was bought. Our hens.
All right.
They never ate anything that was bought for them.
They find their own.
Well, I save it. The next step with the oats, I started to tell you I didn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
You see the difference now, the white oats and the black oats?
Yep. Yes, you can.
It's a longer straw.
It's a longer straw.
Probably a bit more grain maybe on it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was saying to Tim if he could grow his own oats to feed the hens
That's true.
rather than buying it, but then like because he's so intense, like
Yeah.
the hens that I got from last year, he sells them, they'll stop laying then when he's selling them, so I bought some off them and I just put them straight onto oats.
Mhm.
That's all they get, so they stop laying.
Yeah.
And then when they adjust themselves in the moult and all, they started off laying again, and they laid all through Christmas
Wow.
when eggs are scarce, and sure they laid for a long time. They lay as long as they're able.
Wow.
That's the only thing they got was oats.
How about that?
So just him is so much dependent on the eggs, he couldn't take a chance.
Yeah.
That it
Yeah.
doesn't work like.
Exactly. But what would the main source of finance to keep you going, Joni? What does it? What's the most important thing? Is it a crop or is it a product or?
Sheep would be the main thing, and then the subsidies, so sure only for the
Yeah.
subsidies they wouldn't, a lot of people wouldn't keep going.
Yeah. Tim was saying that many of the farmers on these hills are mostly part-time because that's the only way they can do it. Would that be
Exactly,
true?
yeah. That's why I was saying to you about not many working Guinness. Like nearly most people around here nearly would have worked on the county council or something like that.
Yeah.
Like my father worked all his life on the county council.
Oh, really? Ah.
And my uncles as well, like so.
Yeah.
And I would be working still, only I was working till the Celtic Tiger kicked the bucket.
Yeah.
And then I went kind of gone now, even though I'm not making money, I really haven't got time to work.
Yeah. Well, this would certainly keep you going.
Yeah.
It would certainly fill your day, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not. Somebody said about golf was a hobby. But some people spend so much time at it. I said, well, if this is a hobby, if I'm spending so much time at it, I should be very good at it. Like, golf was like,
There's a song by a guy called Levon Helm. He's in a famous band called The Band. But he had a song out and it was, I used to farm for a living, but now I'm in the growing trade.
oh, very good, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, all right.
You know, and the song is all about like, that's what he was rare to do, and then suddenly they tell him, no, you can't be a farmer anymore, you just have to be a producer.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, there's very few people that really are producing. Look, sure, half the farmers in the country wouldn't be able to grow what they eat.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you know?
Yeah.
If they didn't know how to do it, they probably wouldn't be allowed.
That's true.
See an odd shape broken there, and that's just where the binder might have missed an odd knot or something.
All right.
Because we're under pressure doing it here.
Yeah, for the weather, of course.
Well, you never know how long the weather is going to last. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy saying now that it was a great week, but last Friday evening you didn't know how long it was going to be good for.
No.
And I was afraid to myself because we missed it a couple of weeks ago. This wasn't really ripe enough to cut.
Right.
And I said if I don't get it now and while the weather is good, lads around will be saying, what sort of a fool are you? You hadn't got it done.
Yeah.
So I said, I just said we got to do it there Friday evening when we got the chance. And it was about ripe.
And it was right, yeah.
So,
It was the perfect time.
so it needed to be done.
You can certainly feel the chill in the air now, can't you?
And the problem is, when it gets on to this time of the year, days are so short.
Yeah.
It was 1 o'clock before the dew was gone off this. Couldn't really do anything before that.
Yeah.
So I was after sheep before that. I was saying about Facebook. Somebody set me up on Facebook a few years ago.
Mhm.
So I do use it a lot now.
That's great.
I use it for promoting things like the tractor running Bowling Green and the sheepdog trials.
Yeah.
And then I put pictures up. There's one picture of when we were cooking this the other evening. A bit of video that another fella took. And I took a picture there this morning when I was up the hill and just little things like that. And there's people all over the world looking at them, you know.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
I set up a thing on Facebook a few years ago there. About 4 or 5 years ago I set up a page called Sheepdog Trials Ireland.
Mhm.
Just trying to think of a name for it. And the reason was all the sheepdog trials when they're going to take place are advertised. But when they're over you never see the results unless you're there.
Ah. Yeah.
So there should be somewhere that people can see it.
Yep.
So I went to the computer and I just started fiddling and I saw this and I said create page and I created a page called Sheepdog Trials Ireland. And now I think it must be pushing up on 1,100 members in it.
Wow.
And a good few of them will be in Australia and different places.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And the people in Australia set up one then, and it's called Sheepdog Trials Australia, I think. And their profile picture for a while was one of me getting sheep into a trailer.
Oh, brilliant. How's that?